Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. Let the record reflect that the meeting was properly notified and all board members are present tonight. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item tonight on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 6th, 2021 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes, and if so, any questions or discussion on those minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve those.
I make a motion we approve the minutes for October the 6th, 2021.
Second.
Motion made by Bill and seconded by Jim to approve the minutes from October 6th, 2021. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next item is the Economic Development Report and Request for Financial Support. It's an action item as well. Molly Whitehead's here tonight to address the board. Hi, Molly.
Good evening, Molly Whitehead, Boone County Economic Development. Let's see if I can get this. Is there anything special I need to do to get this to pop up? Bingo.
There you go.
It's great when technology works. Again, Molly Whitehead, Executive Director of the Boone EDC. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce Claire Collette. Claire's our Economic Development Manager. She started with us in June. Seems like she's been here for much longer, but Claire's actually responsible for a lot of the lead activity that comes in the door, working hand in hand with Lebanon Utilities to answer those prospects that are considering the area, so you will likely see her from time to time as well. So this is our annual update, and so we'll run through this very, very briefly. Hopefully you can all see this on your screens as well. As a refresher of what the Boone EDC does, we are a public-private nonprofit. We do have contracts with the public entities to be their economic development arm, and that includes the city of Lebanon. Our job at the end of the day is to recruit and retain employers to Boone County, to the city of Lebanon. By doing that, we increase the industrial and commercial assessed values. That provides tax dollars for our government entities for those needs and wants that we all have. And then ultimately that helps reduce the tax burden on residents. It presents opportunities for continued growth, especially in the residential sector. Our 2020 and 21 projects. 2020 was actually the second biggest economic development year that we've ever had in Boone County. The largest of this actually was the new cold facility in the Lebanon Business Park. It's about a $150 million capital investment. So $235 million total is what we saw throughout all of Boone County, with a conservative estimate of around $17 million tax impact. We have had 4 announced projects yet this year, $103 million in capital investment. Several more in the works before the end of the year, kind of rushed, but we've seen a pretty good estimated tax impact from those so far. Trends, and by the way, know that we're always happy to provide you any of the information, any of the lead activity that we see, so you can help better plan. But leads by industry, I think the misnomer is that Boone County is just only about logistics and distribution companies, or that's all of the Lebanon Business Park, which is actually not true. And the leads that we receive, as you see here, 54% of those to date have been in the manufacturing sector. This lines up pretty much with what we have seen year over year, and it is also still our biggest need. Largely businesses are looking for already existing buildings, spaces to go into, especially now with just major supply chain issues. The sooner they can get into a building, the better. And again, manufacturing is where we see the growth opportunity. In addition to the traditional economic development, because simply bringing companies here and helping them grow, part of that is workforce development, which is our number one issue. It's number one issue nationwide. Will be in the future doing more place-based marketing to try to educate people on what Boone County, what the city of Lebanon is about. What do we have to offer? Why would you want to live here? Why would you want to work here? And then we'll also be addressing barriers to employment that we often see. Housing, transportation, second chance employment being some of those areas. And then with community development, this is an area where we try to advocate or assist with projects that our municipalities, the City of Lebanon, is working on. If you've heard of the READY initiative, that was the state's, or is the state's $500 million grant program, and Boone County joined up with 5 different counties to form what we're calling the 180 Alliance region. And this region, the goal was to apply for workforce and community development projects that can make a positive impact on population. And so we did put some money in there specific to the City of Lebanon, a lot of money specific to Boone County, and we will hopefully know before the end of the year whether that funding is received or not. And then finally, digital inclusivity. What we mean by this is really anything digital world, anything that touches that world. And so first of all, it's broadband access. It's making sure that we have the infrastructure that we need either for households, businesses, small businesses, large, and for the workforce as well. And so we are working with Purdue University to develop a digital inclusivity plan for Boone County. We'll be working a lot with utility companies in the future as well, because we see that there's an opportunity to partner there to try to increase the not only broadband access, but just the digital skills that our workforce may need. That, what we work for every day, we want to create that environment where businesses and families can thrive. Our ask for today is a continued investment and partnership with the Boone EDC. We do rely heavily on our staff contacts at Lebanon Utilities to complete these requests that we get in every day. We are requesting the annual investment of $8,000, which is, as you'll see, restores the level from 2019. I did speak with Jeff ahead of time about kind of the structure of that, understanding your concerns, and I certainly think we can work through whatever that may be. We do fee-for-service contracts with the public entities anyway, so that's not something that's uncommon for us. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions or concerns that you may have.
Thanks, Molly. Anyone have questions for Molly or in general? All right, are we going to entertain motions on this, or?
Yeah, I guess at this time, Board, given some of the discussions I've had with Molly, I'd recommend that you table this item till a date in the future, until she and I are able to work through a couple items.
All right, with that, does someone want to make a motion to table?
I make a motion, we table the request for financial assistance.
Second. Motion made by Bill, seconded by Tim to table this request to a date in the future. Any other questions or discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Molly, thanks for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Okay, next item tonight's an information item, IMEA safety update, and who's going to be handling that? Is it Jeff or you, Ed?
That's going to be me. I'll start, and I'll probably pitch the ball to Tim at some point.
Okay.
The Indiana Municipal Electric Association is a great organization, 67 strong, that we're a member of. It's a trade organization where we get safety training and a lot of special projects and special type things. And the safety update is that all of Lebanon Utilities won the safety award for mid-sized utilities, and I'll hold this up so you guys can see it. And kudos to staff and team. This was a hard one. There's 16 mid-sized utilities in IMEA spread out throughout the state of Indiana, and we came in #1 for safety. Dwayne Richardson does our safety training. He's out here a couple times a month, and we engaged him for a safety audit the end of last year. So knows us very well. He followed our staff around and did observed evolutions, did training, employee interviews, the whole 9 yards, so to speak, and knows us very well, and kudos to staff for winning that award. Also, our own Jeff Greeno was elected this year's president for IMEA, so kudos to Jeff and his team. And I wasn't actually at the conference, and Tim Hudson was gracious enough to go to that conference for us, so I'm going to kind of pitch it to Tim to present his comments.
Yeah, Jeff, you should probably go to the podium so you can be recognized. And this is our new president of the Indiana Municipal Electric Association. Congratulations to Jeff. It was Jeff had invited me as the electric representative to attend with him the state conference for the year, and it's about 3.5 days of different things. The 2 days I went, the first meeting I went to, they had a pretty decent buffet breakfast, so I thought that was a good way to start the day. And it was the IMEA meeting, and the first thing I see about slide number 3 is the safety award for the year, and Lebanon Utilities is for the mid-level company. And we need to recognize Ed in this also, because Ed had not just asked for the electric portion of our business to be evaluated from a safety standpoint, although it was. He asked for the Lebanon Utility. So if you look at our award, it doesn't say Lebanon Electric, it says Lebanon Utility. So Ryan needs to be recognized also. Ed and I and Jeff and Ryan, well, I guess Ryan did a little bit of fall breaking last week, but took just a little bit of time, a couple mornings in the last couple weeks, just went out to the morning meetings to try to recognize the teams for what they've done, because it's a pretty significant award. Our guys work with pretty dangerous stuff every day, all day long, and the most important thing is for them to go home safely at night, and they do. And Lebanon, at least for this year, is being recognized for that.
Well, thank you, Tim. And it's a company-wide award, so I should also say I recognize the office staff. They might not have quite the dangers of a power lineman or someone who digs in the street, but and also Seth's here today, our telecom department. This is a team award, and it's safety as a culture, and I'd like to think that we're developing that culture. So thanks.
I have a question, Tim. So we had the best safety record of all the other municipalities in the association?
The medium size, there are 16, what the IMEA would say are medium-sized utilities. We're one of the 16. So we were compared to 15 others.
Okay, thank you.
The total membership, I think Ed said, is 67 municipal electrics.
Thank you.
Some small, some larger than ours.
So Jeff, are you going to give a speech?
I gave one there.
Okay.
All right, guys, well said, and congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, thank you.
Good job. Safety is a big deal, so thanks for that. Okay, next item, Jeff will stay at the stand for the electric RFPs, and this is also an action item. Actually, a few different items in this few action items in this single item, so go ahead, Jeff.
I have a few items today I want to bring to the board. I'm bringing 3 RFPs for services that will be done in the next year, 2022. I'm bringing them to the board so we can get approval to proceed to follow the proper guidelines with the Indiana codes on these RFPs. Each one of these RFPs will be in the 2022 budget. The first RFP I want to talk about will be the pole inspection RFP. That's the one where a company will go around, check all of our wooden poles for decay and structural damage. The second one is kind of a new one. It's what we're calling the on-call conduit installation RFP. This will give us an opportunity to have a company or companies give us a price itemized listing of services for each line item for day-to-day work and after-hours emergency work. The third one will be the 2022 electric tree trimming RFP, so we can keep our system clear of trees in our power lines. So I would like to ask the board to make 3 individual separate motions on these RFPs and approve them so we may proceed with acquiring bids. Is there any questions on any of them?
Right, thanks, Jeff. As Jeff said, these are just motions to approve obtaining bids on these three different items. So are there any other questions or discussions for Jeff on any of these? If not, I'd entertain three separate motions.
I make a motion to approve Lebanon Utilities to proceed with the 2022 pole inspection RFP.
Second that motion.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Jim to approve the Lebanon Utilities 2022 pole inspection RFP. Any questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the second motion is for the conduit installation RFP.
I make a motion, we approve Lebanon Utility to proceed with the 2022 on-call conduit installation RFP.
Second. Motion made by Bill, seconded by Tim to approve the motion to proceed with the 2022 on-call conduit installation RFP. Any other questions on this item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and finally, the electric system tree trimming RFP. Any questions on that before we entertain a motion? All right,
I'd make a motion to approve Lebanon Utilities proceed with the 2022 electric system tree trimming RFP.
Second.
motion made by Jim, seconded by Bill to approve the 2022 electric system tree trimming RFP. Questions or discussion on that item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Board, for zipping through those in good fashion. Looks like our next item is the Syracuse Drive change order. It's an action item, and no stranger to the podium, Ryan Ottinger is back.
Back from fall break and ready to make some presentations. So I appreciate everyone's time. Before I introduce the change order, I want to introduce a couple people from Kokosing who were the contractors on site responsible for the Syracuse Drive water main project. Super quick background. We all are aware of the massive problems of the water main on Syracuse Drive, and if we're not, we had quite a bit of property damage, multiple leaks in multiple locations, and it was becoming a major issue in our distribution system. So fortunately, we were able to put a new water main in, and I knew when that project was over that it had been one of the most seamless from a logistics and from a work standpoint. Financially, I knew it was going along really well, but I didn't know exactly where we were. We did have a GMAX pricing, so I knew where it could, as high as it could go, but I knew there was a possibility for some savings. And so we were able to capitalize on a lot of different scenarios that worked in our favor. And I think it was cooperation with BF&S and Kokosing and Lebanon Utilities. But I don't want to get too much into that because I'm going to really step on Kokosing's toes in this presentation that they're going to present. We do have Todd Lehman and Tyler Shaw from Kokosing, and Tyler's going to come up and give a quick presentation about how some of these savings were realized, and then I will come back up with the change order.
All right, thanks for the introduction. My name's Tyler Shaw with Kokosing Industrial. Thanks for the time. I'll make it quick. Just wanted to show you, I don't know if that's going to pop up on the screen here now.
Nice.
That's a pretty sunset, but that's... Just a second. Works for Molly. There we go. have a feeling when I put it to slideshow, it's going to jump off the screen, so we'll deal with this for the presentation piece of it. But so as Ryan said, the Syracuse Drive water main caused quite a few problems, so as quickly as possible, I think, design was kind of reached. A quick cover of the project. It involved a little over 3,000 feet of new 6-inch water main. We actually installed over 55 new service connections off that main, 8 new fire hydrants, driveway replacement to the tune of about 7,300 square feet. These units are somewhat important as far as how we achieve some savings on the job. 9,500 square feet of new sidewalk down one side of the Syracuse Drive, Fairfield Lane, a little bit of Garfield, and I think those were the 3 streets involved. 610 feet of curb replacement, which is critical as well. We were able to save quite a few dollars by not damaging the curb on this project. Did remove 22 trees on the job, and with the help of Jeff and the electrical department, removed, stored, and replaced 7 street lights. Starting out, I think it was recognized that this new line, the existing line was in the street, the new line was going to be outside of the street, and the goal was, how do you put the line without tearing out the least amount of stuff. It was determined just through collaboration with BFNS and Lebanon Utilities that, we can try to squeeze it between the curb and the sidewalk, but we didn't really see a way we could salvage the sidewalk. So the decision was made to put it actually more towards the sidewalk. What this did was allowed us to stay off the street. We used plates as we tracked down through there to kind of salvage the curb as much as possible, and it really, in the end, worked out pretty well. We did end up, replacing the sidewalk throughout the whole run of the main, but we saved money by not impacting the road and having to tear up asphalt and tear out new curb and put new curb and come back through there with new asphalt. So this is just a couple pictures of kind of, the difference a few feet makes, if you will. You can see how we really did not, except for when we crossed the streets, we didn't impact the street, except for at those intersections, T intersections and cross intersection at Garfield and Syracuse. Picture the job finished up. So that was one key component. Another thing that was really, I thought, creative of everybody on the team was the fact that we had to have laydown, and that neighborhood did not really lend itself for us to be able to do the work and store all the stone, the pipe, and the material that we needed right there. So working with Ryan early on and really the Parks Department, we were able to kind of capitalize on a need for both of us. And so we put in our laydown yard along Maple Drive, and really what we ended up doing is we extended the stone parking lot there and saved the utility money by not having to remove that. We put it in a manner in which that matched up with their existing, and once we were done, we cleaned it up, seeded around it, and the park now has a new parking lot because of the project. So just a really awesome example, I think, of the collaboration that we've always experienced when we come to do work for Lebanon Utilities. As Ryan's going to finish up, but finding savings on the job, our crews really did a phenomenal job of getting the main in. We beat our expectations on that, and there's a domino effect whether you win or lose when you're putting in your main line, along with the resources that go with it, trucking, stone. There's a lot of things attached to that lineal foot production. The shifted alignment reduced, again, our quantities on the curb and asphalt. No restoration at Reese Park. We actually had more quantity in concrete restoration in the job than we actually ended up performing, and all of those benefits came back to the utility on the project. Lebanon Utilities stepped in several times in helping us with locating service laterals, which is where we did struggle on the job, is finding the existing laterals and connecting to those. And again, after some conversation, we were able to realize that, they could help us out by locating those and save save additional dollars in the job by doing so. And then, again, Lebanon Utility, actually electric utility, remove and replace light poles, again, saving themselves some money versus having us do it. So there's a lot of flexibility and a good relationship, working relationship there that enables us to succeed on these projects. So, and really had no significant contingency usage on the job. Contingency is put in there so that, you know, it kind of protects and allows us to finish the job. When you are working underground, you're inevitably going to find things. And we really didn't have to touch that much. So that was a good piece of the savings. Because of that savings, we actually even extended the main a little bit in an area where we thought it might still be potentially problematic. So we extended it further down Garfield Avenue towards the waterway there, where the bridge crosses it on Garfield. And I just, you mentioned it earlier, I mean, the staff in the field, they're kind of who makes it happen. I mean, we do our best to plan and route things, but our crew, along with Lebanon Utilities and really, you know, the BFNS that was on site as well, we connected well with the community. We did a lot of time up front, knocking door to door, letting people know, hey, we know you've heard about the project, but here in a few days, we're going to be in front of your house. What can we do to make sure you're in and out? The neighborhood was really friendly to work with, to be honest. It was a fun project to be a part of. The neighborhood, the utility, BFNS, and like I said, our guys in the field just had a good time working and while we're disrupting, connecting, and making sure that folks are taken care of.
I'd like to make a comment here.
Yes, sir.
From a layman's standpoint. While the job was underway, one day I walked the job, and I was impressed with the safety precautions on the job. I was impressed with the driveway connections that you had in place so people could have access in and out of their driveway. And I talked with one resident in the area just to sort of ask him, you know, how things were going and what he knew about the project and what he understood about it. And his reactions to my questions reemphasizes what you just said about the effort you made to have the residents understand the project and work with them. So I just want to say that, you know, from my layman's standpoint and my observations, that you and our folks did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I went through there probably once every couple of weeks just to see what was going on, and my observation was it may have been the most supervised project I've ever seen, because every time I went through, neighbors were sitting out on their front stoops watching the work go on. So talking about the interaction, I'm glad it was very positive, because every time I went through, there were multiple people out there just watching.
It was noticed, and our foreman and Chris Kuhn, superintendent, did a great job of just stepping in with those people, just asking them how their day was going, and I think that kind of heads off a lot of, you know, concern.
Right,
and
absolutely.
The person doing the work is coming to talk to you. So that's all I had. I appreciate the time. I'll let Ryan finish up unless there's any questions for. Thank you.
Yeah, fortunately, with the savings, all of the foremen that were on their porch were not on payroll, so just giving advice. So luckily, we did not have to pay for those services.
Advice.
Yes, a lot of free advice, which isn't always the best, but it was very well received. How about that? But if anybody that's been down in the Northfield area, it's a tight area. And I don't know if anybody's been down there recently. Fortunately, the city on the other side of the road kind of concurrently did new sidewalks on the other side of the road. And if you drive down there right now, it looks like a brand new neighborhood. It is so well done on both sides of the road. And even with the savings we had, if you'll remember when we came in and got the approval to connect on Garfield, that small area of water main. So we even actually connected more water main than the original scope. And it was just a really good project, to say the least. And then also the good news of this is the change order number 1, which is the final change order for this project, with a realized savings of $304,436.59. After all this was said and done, we were able to come in that far under the original approved price of $1,391,000. And that brings the original price from $1,391,000 to $1,086,000, I apologize, $563.41. So my request would be for the board to approve the change order number 1 for reimbursement in the amount of $304,436.59. And we can all take any questions that you might have on this.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation and all your work, and you too, Ryan. Appreciate the info. Anybody have questions on this? Just project well done, for sure.
My only comment is wow.
I agree.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'd move to approve the authorization of the Syracuse Drive Water Main Improvement Change Order number 1 in the amount to be reimbursed of $304,436.59.
Second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Aaron to approve the authorization of the Syracuse Drive Water Main Improvement Change Order number 1 in the amount to be reimbursed of $304,436.59. Anything else on this item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I doubt there's any nays. Right. All right, thanks, guys. That motion carries. Appreciate it. Ryan, stay right there for the Sugar Creek well repair.
I am glad that Danielle did put in the order of agenda, the reimbursement before I ask for retroactive. No, that worked out great to get everybody in a good mood.
Whittling down on that now?
Yeah, so I do really appreciate the order of that. That worked out fantastically.
Not your first rodeo, is it?
This item is a retroactive approval. We had an emergency pump go out, we had an emergency. A pump went out on Sugar Creek well number 1, and we have 5 wells in that well field that 3 operate in rotation. So this immediately took one of the wells completely out of operation, and the time frame is late May on this, so we're quickly entering into a peak summer demand. So a repair was quite serious. And just to let you know, I just got an email on my way here that pump number 5, well number 5 was having issues. So to keep all the wells back in order as soon as possible is a big deal, because the domino effect can be difficult. And if we have to go below 3 wells to run the plant, then we have to limit capacity, limit the amount of finished water that we can produce. So we called Peerless Midwest, came out right away, and was able to pull the pump. They tested it to make sure that it couldn't be repaired. I mean, obviously that would be the route we would want to go, but it was no longer operable. So the pump was replaced. Once we were able to get the bacteria samples to pass, then pump was put back online, and we've not had any trouble since then. The amount requested on that was $15,713. We do have a budgeted amount for well improvement and rehab, a line item. that we had, and that does give us a difference of $54,287 still in that budget. So you can't predict how much they're going to cost, but we do try to at least budget an emergency amount to ensure that we have all of our wells operating. And we do have, like I said, there's 5 at Sugar Creek, so it was important to get this back online. And I can take any questions on this.
Hey, Ryan, if you know, how long's a motor like that last? And does it just depend, or is it 10 years or 3 or?
It depends on usage, amount of hours that it has in it. It also depends on rotation and the elements, upgrades, electrical. So there's numerous things that can go right or wrong depending on how it's maintained. I don't know the exact age on this pump, but I know it was one of our older in the well field. And we replace them as needed, so they're not all on the same, on the same replacement. Thank goodness that we don't replace them all every time we have to replace one. But I don't know the exact age, but there's a pretty good usage life, and it's not unheard of to get 7, 10, 12 years out of it if it's operated properly and maintained.
Do we have a scheduled rotation program just to replace the pumps?
To replace, no. But what we do have is we have scheduled testing. We test the wells every year, and that includes your voltage, your horsepower too. Then after we get that data, that's when we determine what wells we're going to clean and inspect more and possibly replace or rehab the pump. And that's based on your flow data. So if it's pumping at a higher volt, using more horsepower, but your pumpage is less because they're all the same gallons per minute, then we know we can focus on that one and get the least efficient pump repaired, replaced, upgraded, whatever we need to do. So that's how. So we do have a program where we do a test every year on the well, and then after that we determine on what wells we want to target that year within the budgeted amount.
Right, anything else for Ryan on this well repair? If not, entertain a motion.
I move to retroactively approve the motor replacement for Sugar Creek Well 1 in the amount of $15,713.25.
Seconded.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Jim to retroactively approve the motor replacement for Sugar Creek Well 1, in the amount of $15,713.25. Any other questions for Ryan or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Ryan. Still there for the 22-23 emergency repair program, action item.
Thank you, and this is my last one, so I'll make this one fairly brief. This is a program that John Leitner and I kind of began a couple of years ago. I'd say kind of when I first got into this role, 4 years ago, right when I first got into this role. And John came to me and basically said, "Hey, do we have any contingency for if there's a job that we just can't do, or we have multiple jobs and one crew's on one and we don't have a crew for another job, or this is before obviously a pandemic, but what if you had a number of crew members out sick and couldn't fulfill an emergency?" So we started doing an emergency repair contract, and basically what that does is we advertise with in the papers obviously, but then we can reach out to large contractors, and actually I've had discussions with this year with possibly a generator company that rents generators for, let's say, a lift station were to lose power, and we would basically be guaranteed our spot line or a generator to power that lift station that we just don't have in stock and we wouldn't use enough to justify buying a generator for every single lift station when we have these available. We have used this in the past. Atlas Excavation has been the last emergency contract is who we've used, and there was an issue where on our 24-inch water main, with the size and depth of the repair, a backhoe could not excavate that area. So we were able to call them, they brought in an excavator, and we actually still did the repairs. So basically all they charged us for was the time, labor, trip charge for the excavation, not the repair. But this also locks in prices, which I think we can all agree recently has been not easy to do. So they will say, your emergency rate is A, B, C, here's what you charge for this and that. And so at least we know in an emergency, we can get the manpower, we can get the material requested, and we can get the repair complete. And then, we can pay the bill based on some numbers that they've given us. So it's not one of those, it's 3 a.m, you are 9 times the rate of what your hourly rate between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. is. So we're able to get a lot of peace of mind with this. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions. And this is just a request to advertise. And then we go through a bid. What I would like to do would be, if we get multiple bids, I would prefer if they're all within, the range we'd like to see, we could approve multiple bids, so that way if low bidder A is not available in an emergency, bidder B could be available, and they would already be, that bid would be board approved. Obviously, we would start with the lowest price and then work our way to where we need to go with that. But that was, I'm hoping for a large turnout on that, and then we can accept multiple and just have further redundancy in an emergency action.
You'll come back for us final approval on this list of...
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Once we go through the advertising and the bid process, we'll come back to the board with the recommendation, and then, you guys can decide whether we want to recommend, if we do have multiple, recommend only one, or what direction we go from there with the pricing.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Any other questions for Ryan on the emergency repair program? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we move to approve authorization for Lebanon Utilities to advertise for 2022 and 2023 emergency repair program.
Second. Motion made by Bill, seconded by Tim, to approve the authorization for Lebanon Utilities to advertise the 22-23 emergency repair program. Any additional questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, good work.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, next item on the agenda tonight is the phone system change order. Seth Bird's addressing the board tonight. Thanks, Seth.
Okay, on June 23rd of this year, the board approved a not-to-exceed amount of $7,107 for the hardware of a new phone system. The actual amount was $7,707. That was an error on our end. When we put together the package, the service agreement had the $7,707, but one of the other documents was older, had a $7,107 amount. So when we took it to the board for the not-to-exceed amount, we asked for approval for the $7,107. So we're coming back here is to get that in alignment with the service agreement and ask for an approval of a difference of $600 to bring that to the not-to-exceed amount of $7,707. Any questions?
This is not for anything additional, just the
No,
original package, original
just
price, oversight.
Mistake on
Okay.
our part, put together the package, we asked for
Yep.
approval of the wrong
Yep,
amount.
sure. Okay, simple enough. Any questions for Seth on this? Not an entertain a motion?
I move to approve the additional $600 for the phone system, bringing the contract with TWT for the phone hardware to a not-to-exceed amount of $7,707.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Jim to approve the additional $600 for the phone system, bringing the total contract to a not-to-exceed amount of $7,707. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Seth. A lot of sevens, look like slot machine there. Okay, Seth's still up, and he is going to declare some surplus computers.
Yes, sir. I'd like to request that we declare 20 workstation computers as surplus property. Included is a list of the asset tag numbers of the computers we'd like declared. These were pulled out of service over various times for either being obsolete or defective and have been replaced with newer computers for the employees' workstations. Because because total value is believed to be $0, we want to follow the Indiana Code 5-22-22 and the disposition of the property, and a summary of those provisions are also attached. Basically, we'd like to get that declared surplus so we can dispose of it in a proper manner.
Are these actual computers or just monitors or?
They are just the workstation desktops, so they're not the computers, they're basically the PC part of the computer, so the motherboard, processor, memory, hard drive.
Stuff goes out of date overnight anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually we hold on to stuff to at least till it's out of warranty or it's broken. So these are around probably 3 to 5 years old at least, though some of them could be a little older.
Good.
All right, any questions for Seth here?
Now, I think we should make sure that the IC 5-22-22 should be also -8, which spells out that it should be junked or scrapped and non-usable.
We'll throw a -8 on there.
Just throw a -8 on there.
Okay.
That's as per what's in the attachment.
Good. All right, anything else for Seth on the surplus? Not entertain a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request to declare listed 20 workstation computers as surplus and for them to be disposed in accordance with IC 5-22-22-8.
Second that motion.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the request to declare the 20 workstation computers as surplus for them to be disposed of in accordance with IC 5-22-22-8. Other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Seth.
Thank you.
Action item is the approval of the claims, payrolls, transfers. Everyone had a chance to review those items, and if so, any questions or discussion to go along with that? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the claims, payrolls, transfers dated November 3rd, 2021, in the amount of $676,092.90 for claims and payroll, and $7,259,752.66 for transfers.
Second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Aaron to approve the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated November 3rd, 2021. Any additional questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, anybody on the board have other business, or Ed, anything else?
Nope, nothing else, sir.
I have one item, Board. It is my understanding that in the working session, you discussed altering your December meeting schedule, eliminating the December 8th meeting and meeting December 1st and 15th, which would require a motion.
So move.
Second.
All right, motion made by Aaron and seconded by Jim to approve adjustment to the December Utility Service Board meeting schedule to reflect December 1st and 15th meetings as opposed to the 8th and the 22nd. Questions about that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for that, Jeff. Anybody else have any business for the board? Any public comment tonight? Ed, anything come into your desk?
No, nothing, sir.
Right. Looks like our next meeting is scheduled for the 17th of November at 5 PM. And with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everyone.